So Huawei has just launched this rather sizable new laptop, the Matebook D16, a 16-inch behemoth boasting Intel's latest 12th gen laptop chipset. It's proper massive, but is it actually any good? Well, I've been having to play for a good few days now, so here is my in-depth look at the Huawei Matebook D16. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do plug subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So let's start with the design, and the good news is the Matebook's metal alloy frame is sturdy enough to soak up all kinds of nasty abuse. You can really take your aggression out on this thing, no worries at all. What? The average price of beer has risen 70% since the cost of living crisis started? Even though I've been far from tender with the Matebook D16 so far, not a single scratch or scuff or nick to speak of on that lovely silver surface. And it also does a pretty great job of repelling finger grease and grime and other nasty stuff. I haven't bothered to wipe this thing down for the entire time I've had it, and as you can see, only a few faint little greasy marks, and these come off pretty easily by the looks of it. And the Matebook D16 is comparatively slim and light for a 16-inch laptop. It's certainly an improvement over many Windows rivals and the likes of the 16-inch MacBook. However, it is certainly still a proper wide boy, so you'll need a big old sizable backpack in order to lug this thing around. As far as the ports go, it's a pretty standard selection. You've got a pair of USB-C 3.0 ports right here on the left edge, and those are joined by an HDMI port for hooking up to an external display. And then over on the other side, you've got a couple of full-size USB-A ports, good use if you've still got some old peripherals that use those. There's no memory card slots to speak of, no Ethernet port either, which to be fair would have been kind of tricky to cram in here considering how skinny the laptop is. Now the Matebook D16's keyboard is a full-size chiclet affair, stretching pretty much the entire width of that chassis. Because it's a 16-inch behemoth, you've even got room for a numeric keypad on there, although sadly there's very little separation indeed between that and the rest of the board. But hey, at least you get pretty decently sized cursor keys and a double row enter key as well, none of that single row. And overall I found the typing experience pretty comfortable. You've got respectable travel on those keys when you strike them and not too much sponginess here in the center of the board. Even that touchpad doesn't suck too hard. And you've got pretty skinny bezels surrounding the Matebook D16's display, but Huawei has still just about found room in that top bezel for a teeny tiny little webcam. It's a full HD effort 1080p. Apparently it's very snazzy indeed, with an auto centering feature and all kinds of posh bollocks, but unfortunately my pre-launch laptop, this camera is not functioning. I've tried updating the drivers, I've tried pretty much everything I can think of, and no dice, so we just have to hope it's as good as it sounds. Now practically filling the inside of the Matebook D's lid, you've got a 16-inch IPS display. This sports a full HD 1920 by 1200 pixel resolution, pretty close, and yeah, you'll notice individual pixels, but it's absolutely fine for office-based shenanigans and for watching some YouTube or whatever you fancy. And you've got pretty accurate color representation there as well. In my colorimeter test, the Matebook D16 spaffed out results of 98% of the sRGB gamut covered, 74% of the Adobe RGB, and P3. That display tops off at 320 nits, which is just about strong enough for working outdoors without too much squinting, and what on earth is that involved? And that's helped along by the fact you've got an anti-glare finish on that mighty display as well, although when things got proper sunny I was struggling to see what I was doing. As for audio, well, your speakers here on the Matebook D16 are sadly housed beneath the chassis, so they are pointing away from your face and your lug holes. But all the same, they're pretty powerful, as you would kind of expect from a 16-inch laptop. So I'm a huge fan of true wireless earbuds, massively convenient and portable way of blocking out the world when you're out there amongst the general public. Sadly not as impressive as the audio you would get from a MacBook or a Dell machine, something like that, but it'll absolutely do the job again if you are just enjoying a bit of YouTube or editing a bit of video on the side, something like that. Now the Huawei Matebook D16 comes with Windows 11 pre-installed. It's the full fat experience as you would hope for, and you've got a fingerprint sensor built into that power button with Windows Hello support, of course, so you can use that to sign in, no pins or passwords or any of that crap. And if you're a big Huawei fan, you've got lots of other devices kicking around, phones, tablets, whatever. Well, you've got Huawei Share functionality here on the Matebook D16 as well. Now when it comes to performance, Huawei doesn't piss about. The Matebook D16 is powered by a 12th generation Intel Core H series processor, specifically the Core i7-12700H. And that's backed here on the Matebook by 16 gigs of RAM as well. And I have noticed that this laptop does sometimes take a little while to boot up, but apart from that, it's been smooth sailing. This laptop can handle any kind of office tasks, no worries. I spent a lot of time working in Chrome and that just ran perfectly as well. And the D16 is also good for simple creative tasks like photo editing, bit of light video editing as well. And yeah, you can play games on this thing, but don't expect stuff like Doom to run. Even on the lowest detail settings, that thing is an absolute stutter fest, so you want to be playing less demanding fare. Good old Nancy Drew, for instance, plays with a perfect frame rate, no stumbles or judders in sight. And if you happen to be a fan of benchmarking, well, Cinebench R23 spaffed out a single core score of 1700, multi-core score of 10,396, not too shabby at all. And you got half a terabyte of storage packed into the Matebook D16 as well, so a respectable amount of space for your apps, games and whatnot. Not the fastest storage around though, we're talking around 2 gigabits per second read and write speeds, which is pretty meh. As for the battery life, well, the Matebook performed about sort of average on that front as well. I got around 5 hours of mixed use on a full charge. That involves working in Chrome, listening to Deezer in the background, occasionally streaming a bit of video, maybe doing some light gaming. But then of course this laptop isn't really designed to be taken out and about all day long. It's a 16-inch beast, so chances are you're just going to be carrying it from room to room in your house. Maybe occasionally out into the garden if you've got a garden and it's not absolutely shitting it down like it does 90% of the time in this bloody country. And that in a nutshell is the Huawei Matebook D16 packing those 12th gen Intel smarts. And it's been great fun to play around with, certainly if your priority in your new laptop is a massive display for, watching videos, getting involved with all kinds of office tasks, that kind of stuff, well, it'll do the job. Of course, as I shoot this video, I unfortunately don't know the UK pricing just yet, but as soon as it is actually launched by Huawei, then I will bung that down in the video description below. It'd be great to hear what you guys reckon as well. Please do chuck your comments down there as well. Please do poke, subscribe and ding that notifications bell, all the YouTube shares, and have yourselves a bloody wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone, love you.